welcome back to Reloading Journey. Today we're going to go over the Mighty Armory's new XM dies, the XMS and the XMA, and what the differences are, and then we'll go over each die independently. And then after I show you the dies, tell you about them, I'm going to go ahead and just show you a basic setup, quick setup on the machine, how I set them up to start, and we'll go from there. So first off, let's go ahead and get just the stats out of the way real quick. Bear with me as I read this, not my favorite thing to do out loud, but the XMS S ones, the S is the commercial version of the XM, and will cycle at 6,000 per hour. Precision machine, heat treated, steel with black oxide coating. The shafts and threaded insert are rifle barrel steel, heat treated and black oxide coated. The pins are M2 steel, Swiss machined, and heat treated to 65 Rockwell, available in 2 diameters. The compression springs are high tension. The rebound is fast and hard, eliminating primer pullback or creating a solid hold down on cases in the swage and primer stations. The die is preset for operation, no adjustment needed. And then the XMA, the A version, designed exactly the same, has a 70-75 billet body and cap, coated with a 60 Rockwell hard anodized finish, strong enough for 3,000 cycles per hour. So that's just the basic stats on them. The S's and the A's are exactly the same. It's just the hardness of the metals in them and stuff, and the speed they're going to be run at. So the XMs are for commercial, and then the A's are for standard, presses like this, maybe auto drive, stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and real quick set this aside. I'm going to go ahead and put a copy of this up over here and just go through all the stages and all the dies. So we'll start out with your first die that's actually is in your station 2, is your depriming die. In your cap, you've just got that spring that creates the pop. Now, that spring can come out. If it comes out, don't worry about it. It goes back in. There's a little nipple to hold it there. You've got your pin. Now, it comes with, you can get 2 different sizes on here, one for the small primer holes, large primer holes. Now he recommends that you take and put a little bit of Loctite just on the shoulder, just where they kind of butt up here. You don't have to Loctite the whole thread. Screw it together. You can use a 3/16 wrench, tighten her down. Let's go ahead and look at the rest of it. You've got this threaded piece here, the top of the die, and then you've got your little slide there that catches the case, straightens it up. Put it together, just drop that back in. Now, I should have said this right off the bat. Whenever you get these, first thing you do, take them apart, clean them really well. They come with the packing grease on them and stuff like that. Clean the inside, outside. I just use some this is just rubbing alcohol I have in here. I just spray them down really good, wipe them down really well, spray down the inside. Take your towel, shove it on through, just make sure you clean them really well. Get all that grease off of them. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and put this one back together. Come on. Well, 2 coffees this morning was too much. I should have stopped at 1. Now, he does recommend you take, if you look on the pin here, there's a little flat spot. That's what rubs. That's what rides inside of this. That's the only spot that's metal to metal moving. Put just a drop of gun oil on it. God, I'm shaking like crazy. Drop that in. Good to go. Put the cap back on. And that is your depriming die. Next in line is let's get this out of the way, is your sizing die. Now, I've done a video on this. This has been out for a while. I love this die. I've got 10,000 rounds through it. I've got a video on it. I won't take this one apart. It's just, it is what it is. You can look at my other video on it. Next one is your hold down die. Pretty much the exact same as the depriming die. It's just your tip on the end is going to be different. Everything's the same inside. This is the only difference. You see that blunt end for a hold down. Same thing with this. Loctite it, get it on there tight. Everything else is the same. I don't need to take it all apart. This is going to work the same. And that is your hold down die. We've got a second hold down die here. Guess what? It's exactly the same as that one. Next one is our flare die. Really simple die. You've just got your threaded insert with your flared in. You can see a lot of brass on there. I've done it, use it a lot. Just to flare it out, just a basic die. You got your plastic lock nut, which I really like. Once you get it close, you can just lock that plastic nut down. Now it still gives you, makes it easy to do precise adjustments. Next one is the seating die. Kind of the same arrangement as that, except for, I don't know if that'll focus on that. That's the same, or that's for the seat your bullet. Now, that comes off this, you can put your finger in there, hold that, and you can unscrew this long-winded shaft in. Come on, holy cow. All right, so this is the same as that, but just with a blunt end, and then down here, you've got that shuttle in there that, oh, I just dropped there's a little rubber insert, little plastic insert. And of course it's black on black. Oh, there it is on the ground. Now this is designed, I'm running hollow point bullets. It'll work with pretty much anything you can put in it. Hollow point, full metal jackets, the coated ones. I had 147 coated one, 147 grain coated ones that were real long in the nose. It'll work on those. What's nice is if your bullet's not seated on the case completely straight, it'll catch it and line it up straight before it pushes it in to get you a better seat, more accurate. Now, when you put this together, it's not tricky, but you got to be careful. He recommended you don't want to Loctite these threads together because it's going to be inside of the die, and you won't be able to grab this to ever break it apart later. You might have issues. So he just recommended put a little bit of super glue on the metal there and set this little pad in. And that pad just kind of works like a lock washer. It just gives a little bit of pressure to push it against the threads. But with that super glue and then a tab of super glue on this side, it'll bind enough to the metal. It's not going to be a great bind, but it'll bind enough just to hold it, to keep it from, it shouldn't come apart. So whenever you put it back together, put that in, thread this down. Now you want to push that shuttle up as high as you can. It'll bottom out against where the threads are. So as soon as this goes through the threads on the body, it's going into the threads on the shuttle in there. You don't want to have a space because well, I guess you could. I guess it doesn't matter. I was going to say that would make you this bottom out, but it won't. Never mind. Just make sure that you got it good and tight. Put your finger in there and tighten up against it. Push as hard as you can, tighten up against it. And then whenever you back it off, be careful. As soon as it stops, that's where that shuttle is hitting those threads, and that's where if you keep going, you're just going to unscrew it. But just take it up to the top, put down your lock, and then we'll adjust it later on. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. But last but not least is the decapping. It resizes some of the body or most of the body once after after the flare, after the seat, it doesn't just, it double checks the I don't know how to explain this. It double checks the size. You can see where it goes in pretty far, and it's sizing that case back down, and then it's a taper crimp. So it'll get it back to SAMI specs after your flare, your seat, it'll get it back to where it's supposed to be. Now, keep in mind, these are sold separately, but do yourself a favor and get a set, because, you know, the sizing die, the flare die, the seating die, the taper die or the crimp die are all made to work together. They're all made to work, like I said, together. You know, this is gonna size you to SAMI specs, get you right where you wanna be. This is gonna flare it out to the 0.381. If you set it right, that's what you want your mouth to be at. This will seat your bullet. If you cheap out, not even cheap, these aren't that expensive, but if you go with a different brand or something like that, you're defeating the purpose of having a great seating, a great flare, sizing die if you screwed up with a cheap flare or a cheap seating or crimp die. They're made to work together to give you the best possible ammunition as you can. That is the design of them. So just keep that in mind when you're looking. Do yourself a favor and just get the whole set, and you'll be nothing but happy with it. So we've gone over all these. Keep in mind for the month of November, they are $20 off on Mighty Armory's site. That's for the rest of November. If there's anything else I was supposed to go over, I'll remember it when I go to do the setup. I'm gonna go ahead and move the cameras real quick, set the cameras up. We'll come back and I'll show you how I set these up for basic, just to get started, and then you can fine tune them after that. All right, thanks. All right, I'm back. And again, this is just going to be just a basic setup, somewhere to get you started, get you a good base start on your dies, getting them in, getting them set up, and then the next step after this would be running a case and everything and fine tuning. I'm gonna get you up to that point. So let's go ahead and start. First thing I always do on the X10, bring my tool head all the way down, and you've got this adjustment back here. Try to make sure that hits with no cam over. Just where you can just feel it right at the bottom. You can feel it touching, but you don't want that tool head tilting at all. You just want a nice level, just so you have a good starting point. So you know when you started, everything was level and that was touching. You can adjust that later on if you need to, because you're gonna have a lot of pressure on this side with the two hold down dies and your sizing die. As you're pushing down, that head may want to, this is how you adjust it to keep it nice and level, and that's a good start. So we're gonna start off with the first thing. All right, get your head in the game here. I'm gonna start off, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my sizing die real quick, just to get myself, damn drawer. Got a drawer that doesn't like to stay shut. I'm gonna tape it right now. Like 8-10 cases that I have sized and decapped. So I'm working with a good start. So, but I'm not gonna, so I'm just gonna throw these through real quick. Just get them decapped and sized. And then these ones I already have done. So that comes back out for now. And I'll tell you the reason I don't start on 2 and work my way around. One thing, he sends it with these nuts. I love the nuts, they're nice, but they've got this lock on them, and they would be great, I think, for the single stage press, where you've got plenty of room to get your wrench on, and you can put them on, tighten them down, And then whenever you take it out of your single stage, it stays on the die at that point. So the next time you just screw it back in. On this press, they're too big. The wrench I got to use is 1 1/8 inches, and it doesn't give me much room to get them in there. Plus you'll see with that opening there, with that gap right there, it's a little too big to really kind of, well, now it made a lighter out of me. But there's points you can't get it. You can't get it from there. You can't get it from here. And it just depends on where that happens to wind up as you're tightening it or loosening it. I think going with a smaller one would be better, but I'm gonna set it up with these, so that if this is what you have. So, I'm gonna start with, first one I'm gonna do is my swaging. Go ahead and put the die in, or put the case in there. Run my tool head all the way down. Screw this down to where I can feel it grab, where it's now touching the bottom of that case. Bring it up, start with about a 1/4 turn. Go down, you're gonna feel a little bit of cam over at the bottom. That is that spring in the top that I showed you being compressed. It doesn't have to be compressed all the way. You don't want it that way. You just want it to compress. I won't get into too deep into that right now, but you just want it to compress under where it's keeping equal pressure on that case, no matter what case you have in there. If you're running range brass, there's going to be all kinds of differences in them. This will keep constant pressure on every case. So at that point, I'm going to go ahead and lock this down just hand tight for now. The reason is, this will get me my best. You know what I did? Oh, damn it. I wasn't paying attention. And I put in they look just alike. I put in the decapping. Not what I wanted. So let's go back to there. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the hold down die. Go ahead and run that down in. Same thing until you feel it hit. Bring it up, go down a 1/4 turn or so. You're going to feel a little bit of that cam over at the bottom, just so you know it's engaging. We'll lock that one down. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw in, let that one move over. I'm going to go ahead and put a case in the swaging one. So that's going to get me all the pressure I'm going to have down right here. That would be normal. Go ahead and put it in. Run that all the way down again. There it hits. Bring it up, go to the 1/4. Now this one might take a little bit. You just want to get it close, which that's pretty, well, that's a little shy, a little short. My primer wasn't quite seated, which you don't want to do all, you want to try to make all your adjustment here. You've got your swaging rods underneath. Once you get these close, your swaging and priming, once you get these close, set up the rest of the machine, and then whenever you have a case, that's good enough for now. Whenever you have a case in every one, I would set it up with the swage and priming rod on the side. Adjust those up and down a little bit to make those. Otherwise, you're going to be chasing it back and forth. You're going to change one, it's going to put more pressure down on that plate. It's going to affect the other one. If you're pushing pressure up, it shouldn't make as much. Seems to me it doesn't make as much adjustment to the other ones around it. So now this seems like a waste, but I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out. Let me run this down so you can see better maybe on this camera. Just because trying to get a wrench on this one, from over here it's too big. I can't tighten it. From right in here, go ahead and pull this. I can get it in and get this one tight now. If the swaging one's in, it's not going to happen. If this, and from this side I can't, because I can't turn it to here without taking this off. So Now I'll just come back and put my swagey one back in. Get it back right there. Now this leaves me a bunch of room on this one, wherever I gotta go to get it nice and tight. Now those are done. Now I'm gonna move on to my sizing die. For that one, I'm just gonna run this all the way down. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and put one in at swaging, one in at priming. So if that shell plate wants to move, or the head's gonna move at all, or anything like that, the hundredths of an inch or thousandths of an inch, it's just all in there already. Run that down, back it off a little bit. So it's just barely touching the shell plate. Go ahead and lock that one down. If your priming one's in, you're not going to get in here to tighten this one. So that's good to go. Now I need one unprimed case. For the depriming one, I just put a case in, run it down, screw this down until it bottoms out. Now it's pushing on that primer. Lift it up. I go down about 2.5 turns. And try it there. Boom, you heard it pop. Worked good. Go ahead and lock that one in. And that's good to go. Next is my flare. I'm gonna go ahead and run, whoop, that's my, here it is. My flare. Go ahead and run this out most of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and screw this. Now this one, I don't put a nut on. It goes, it doesn't matter if it goes all the way down. It goes all the way down. You can have it tighten up on this O-ring. The O-ring comes on this die and it works perfect. It holds it in place really well. You don't have to worry about trying to get a wrench in on this one. It's perfect because it's, other than taking out your powder drop, it's a pain in the butt. This way you don't have to. Run it all the way down onto that O-ring and finger tight, and it's not going anywhere. It's a pain to get back out of there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take a case. I'm going to size it. Don't necessarily have to have it primed and all that, and then bring it around, but you want it, damn, hit my camera. Make sure it's still good. Yeah. You want it sized right, so that way you know whenever you set this, you're setting it right. If the case is out of whack, not sized, you're going to be pulling your hair out because it's never going to come out right. So, what we're looking for, what Wayne with Mighty Armory says to look for, is 0.381 for your opening here. I'm at 0.372. Getting closer. Remember, all these adjustments are going to have to be fine-tuned later on, but you want this one to be as close as you can for right now. You want to have one good case for whenever you go to test your bullet seating die. Let's see. Dang. That better get it. Alright, I overdid it a little bit. I'm going to back that off a little bit, and that should be good. Like I said, you just want to have a couple good ones to help you set whenever you set up your sizing die. And again, you're just doing a preliminary. There, that's good. So now that one's set, make sure your lock nut's set. Now this side's done. I'm gonna go ahead and move the camera over real quick and we'll get these last two in and get out of here. Okay, these last two, I'm gonna go ahead and take my sizing die. Like I told you before, I'm gonna make sure that that's nice and tight against the cedar in there, and then back it off just where it hits those threads and you feel it stop. I'll go ahead and put it in. Now, I've got a bullet here that I know is at, where'd I put I grabbed the wrong one. Right there, shooting for 1.06 with these hollow points. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there, lower this on it. Now this one, I'll put the nut on there, just if I didn't have the nut, it went down a little bit too far, but I can go ahead and run it all the way down. Which just gives me the most adjustment out of that I can. Go ahead and lock that down without hitting my camera too bad. Now, back off this nut and go ahead and run that down. With the hollow points, I gotta go down further than a lot of people would, but just get it right snug against that bullet and lock down the nut. Now that gives you a real good spot to start. Where's my flared one? There it is. Now we'll just go ahead and test it, see if we're close. Pretty close. So again, I won't do my final adjustments. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. Actually, I'm going to back that off a little bit just because when I wind up putting pressure on that side, it might dip this side just a couple thousandths. So I would rather start with a little high. Now we're on to the crimping die. I'm going to go ahead and take just my good one that I know is crimped like I like it. Kind of do the same thing just as a starting point. Run it down on that case till it gets kind of snug, and then go ahead and lock that one down for now. So there, now you've got just a preliminary setup. Everything's not going to be real far off. It's just going to be a matter of filling this whole thing up now. I mean, I'd go ahead and take one that, you know, you've already primed and stuff. Now go ahead and figure your powder measure, all that, while you don't have all your cases in there. This isn't full. And then go ahead and get your powder measure set up for the load you want. And then go ahead, get a case in every station, and then start double checking everything. Work your way all the way around it. and finish it out. That'll be another video I'll do on that on fine tuning. This one was long enough, but thanks for stopping by. I think I covered everything I needed to on this, but if you stay to the end of this, I got some special news for you. I'm not going to give you all of it, but something's coming up. You're going to be able to ask any questions, answer any questions you have on these dies, and get 100% answer that you'll be happy with. That's coming up towards the end of this month. More information will come. Other than that, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.